What if the unthinkable happened? The soldiers who once swore loyalty to Vladimir Putin suddenly turned their weapons around and defied him. Across frozen Russian bases and chaotic front lines, reports are emerging of anger, rebellion, and betrayal within the ranks. This isn't a rumor, it's a full-blown crisis that could change the course of Russia's future. Inside the barracks, morale is collapsing, commanders are losing control, and soldiers are openly questioning the Kremlin's war. Could this be the beginning of an internal collapse, a mutiny powerful enough to shake the foundation of Putin's rule? Stay tuned, because what's unfolding inside Russia right now could redefine global power as we know it. Please subscribe and like my videos because today's topic takes us deep into the heart of one of the most shocking stories emerging from inside Russia, a potential mutiny among its own soldiers. The news has shaken not just Moscow, but also military analysts and governments worldwide. What happens when the loyalty that binds an army to its leader begins to fracture? And what does this mean for President Vladimir Putin's iron grip on power, his military campaigns, and Russia's future stability? Let's break it all down in detail. From the outside, Russia's military has always projected strength, massive parades on Red Square, powerful armored divisions rolling through the fields of Ukraine, and an image of a disciplined, unstoppable force. But recent reports suggest that beneath this facade, cracks are beginning to form. The so-called mutiny inside Russia is not just a rumor, it's a growing reality of dissent, exhaustion, and disillusionment within the ranks. Soldiers who once swore loyalty to the Kremlin are now questioning the purpose of the war, the leadership's decisions, and their own survival. This unrest didn't happen overnight. It's the result of months, even years, of pressure, endless combat, lack of proper supplies, and orders that many describe as senseless or suicidal. The exterior image of Russia's armed forces, once seen as one of the world's most powerful, is beginning to fade. On the surface, Moscow continues to claim control, releasing videos of successful strikes and victories. But behind those official clips lies a very different picture. Footage leaking from Russian bases shows soldiers complaining about poor rations, lack of ammunition, and being sent into battles without backup. Some even speak openly about their anger towards commanders who live comfortably far from the front lines, while troops freeze in trenches or are ordered into impossible assaults. This is no longer the well-oiled machine Putin wanted the world to see. Instead, it looks increasingly fractured, a force where discipline is fading and trust is evaporating. Digging deeper into the interior situation, things get even more complex and alarming. Inside military compounds, morale has reportedly collapsed. Soldiers are not only demoralized but confused about their mission. Many of them believed they were defending their homeland. Instead, they found themselves fighting in foreign territories under unclear objectives. Telegram channels and leaked communications reveal growing anger not just among lower ranks, but even within officers. Units have reported mutinies where groups of soldiers refuse to follow orders or abandon their positions altogether. Others have been seen turning on their own commanders after suffering heavy losses. There are whispers of internal clashes between Wagner Group remnants, regular army divisions, and newly mobilized conscripts. The psychological strain on the interior life of these troops cannot be underestimated. Reports of trauma, depression, and even desertion are spreading. Soldiers who once viewed Putin as a symbol of national pride now see him as distant and disconnected from the battlefield reality. Many complain that while the leadership speaks of patriotism and sacrifice, The soldiers themselves lack even basic medical care, winter uniforms, and food. This gap between the leadership's narrative and the soldiers' lived experience is widening a dangerous divide that often precedes rebellion. In several regions, families of the fallen have begun protesting quietly, demanding answers about why their sons died for a war with no clear end. The emotional interior of the Russian military has reached a boiling point. When analyzing performance, the Russian army's efficiency on the battlefield appears to be suffering greatly. Intelligence assessments and independent war analysts note that coordination between different branches of the military has broken down. Some units operate independently, while others await orders that never arrive. This chaos reduces combat effectiveness dramatically. The once feared Russian artillery and armor divisions are now struggling with logistics, poor communication systems, and unreliable supply chains. Soldiers often reuse old Soviet-era equipment, while modern drones and electronic warfare systems remain limited. Performance-wise, the mutiny reflects not only moral failure, but also a structural one where corruption, overconfidence, and lack of innovation have crippled what was once a formidable machine. From a safety standpoint, the internal mutiny poses severe risks to Russia itself. Whenever a military begins to turn on its leadership, the nation's internal stability becomes threatened. History shows that internal conflicts within armed forces can lead to coups, collapses, or civil strife. In Russia's case, nuclear security is another concern. Western analysts fear that a divided or unstable command chain could increase the risk of miscommunication or misuse of critical weapons. Civilians near military bases have already expressed fears of being caught in internal clashes. Moreover, loyalist forces within the Kremlin are reportedly on high alert, with elite security divisions monitoring any sign of rebellion. Putin has allegedly ordered tighter surveillance on his own officers, revealing just how deep the distrust has spread. Now, let's discuss the unique selling points of this story, the elements that make it different from any previous Russian crisis. Unlike earlier internal challenges, this mutiny is not driven by ideology, politics, or external manipulation. It's organic, emerging from the heart of the very institution that has always protected the Kremlin. These soldiers are not foreign agents or political activists. They are Putin's own men. Their defiance represents a collapse of trust between ruler and warrior, a breakdown of loyalty at the core of Russian power. Another unique aspect is the role of digital exposure. Smartphones and social media have allowed soldiers to record their grievances and broadcast them worldwide. This transparency makes it impossible for the Kremlin to hide the truth as it did during Soviet times. Each video, each leaked voice message adds fuel to the fire, proving that the problem is real and spreading. When we examine the price Russia is paying for this internal unrest, the cost is staggering. Economically, the sanctions imposed by the West continue to cripple Moscow's resources, but the real expense lies in the human and strategic loss. Thousands of soldiers have either deserted, been imprisoned, or turned against their own side. The price in morale, reputation, and future influence is beyond measure. Putin's government is now forced to spend more on internal security than on actual battlefield operations. This shift indicates how serious the mutiny threat has become. Domestically, the public's faith in the government's ability to maintain order is weakening. Families are beginning to question state propaganda, and some even speak cautiously about peace, something unimaginable just a year ago. The political price for Putin's leadership is rising fast, and unlike economic sanctions, this loss of trust cannot be repaired with money. As we move toward the conclusion, it becomes clear that this internal unrest marks a historic turning point. Whether the mutiny grows into a full-scale rebellion or is swiftly crushed, the damage is already done. The illusion of an unshakable Russian military has been broken. Even if Putin manages to restore control temporarily, the scars of betrayal within his forces will not fade. The world is witnessing what happens when absolute power meets human exhaustion and despair. The soldiers who once fought for national pride now struggle for survival, questioning every order, every sacrifice, and every promise made by their leaders. This story serves as a reminder that no matter how powerful a regime may appear from the outside, it is only as strong as the loyalty of the people who defend it. The mutiny inside Russia is not just a rebellion, it's a reflection of a deeper truth. When leadership loses connection with its people, even the strongest armies begin to crumble from within. The events unfolding now may very well define the future of Russia for decades to come. Will Putin's government crush this resistance and reassert control, or will this internal fire spread beyond repair? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: the world is watching every move, every statement, and every crack appearing inside the walls of the Kremlin's mighty fortress. So, as we end today's deep dive into this shocking development, remember to stay tuned to Conflict Frontline Tactical Skies for continuous updates on global conflicts, breaking military news, and detailed analyses like this one. Please like, share, and subscribe to help us bring more of these critical stories to you. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay alert, stay informed, and keep your eyes on the front lines of history.